Hi, everyone. This is Michele Graglia.
This is Marianne Hogan.
Hi, I'm Adrian McDonald.
I'm Katie Asman.
Hi, this is Anthony Gasals.
Hi, my name is Meg Morgan.
Hey, it's Jordan Trove.
This is John Ray.
This is Ryan Van Duzer, and you are listening to the Gotta Run Racing Podcast.
Hey, everyone. Welcome back to another Gotta Run Podcast.
Hello there. Good morning. We're trying to wake ourselves up.
For the early show.
It's really not that early, but it's early for us.
And it is snowing outside.
Because we hibernate in the winter like bears.
And we had to figure out how they do that so we can do that.
Yeah, we watched a video on YouTube yesterday. It was pretty fascinating how they can slow their heart rate.
Yeah, down to 8 beats per minute.
And they actually urinate, but it doesn't pass through their kidneys. It doesn't wake them up to have to go to the bathroom, which is, wow. Imagine doing that in an ultra.
Well, I'm just more excited at the fact. Imagine if we can lower our heart rate to 8 beats per minute and
still be able to run.
I think they breathe once every 45 seconds.
Yeah, that's what they said.
So think about if you can do that while running a 100-miler. You breathe once every 45 seconds and your heart rate's at 8.
And you don't have to pee.
Oh, yeah. There's no reason for you to stop. No. There's no reason for you to stop.
That would be amazing.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's a dream.
That's a dream that won't happen. Just like most of our dreams.
Oh, come on now. Easy now.
In other news.
Yeah?
Our races are open for registration.
Wow, good.
Yeah, that's exciting. I think that's the earliest we've ever got it going. So good on us.
Yeah.
Check them out, GottaRunRacing.com.
And we'd love to see you there, live and in person and uncensored.
Oh, you and your uncensored.
All right, let's just dive in. Who's on the podcast today?
Today we have Julie Hamalecki. She's 44 years old. She lives in Toronto, and she's a fashion and sports producer for CTV's weekly show, The Social. We first met Julie when she won Sulphur Springs 50-miler outright this past May, which we actually got to witness in person. She recently broke 2 records at the Tunnel Hill 100-miler last month, one being the Canadian women's 100-mile record in a time of 13 hours, 32 minutes, and secondly, the 12-hour distance record. Both those records were once held by our former podcast guest, Amanda Nelson, who also ran Sulphur Springs.
Yes.
So Julie's in good company. She's coached by her husband, Adam, who owns the coaching company called Run or Die.
Good name. Is it Run or Die or Run or You Will Die? All right, we'll get into that. And without further ado, here's Julie coming up.
Welcome to the podcast, Julie, and congrats on crushing your first 100-miler at Tunnel Hill very recently.
Thank you.
Have you come down off that high yet?
I have. When you do a race, you know, it's an amazing experience, and then you come home and you're thrown back into your regular life again. You know, back to work, back to all the things. So yeah. But I still think about it every day. It was an awesome day.
Yes. Well, you set a couple of very impressive Canadian records, of course, the 100-miler and the 12-hour, which you took off of fellow Canadian, obviously, Amanda Nelson, who you ran with at Sulphur Springs, where we actually met you at the finish line after you won the 50-miler. So it's been a few months since then, and obviously you've had a great training season. So we can't wait to talk about that today.
Great. Yeah, it was. I remember actually in that interview with you after the race, you had asked me something like, "What's next?" or like, "What are the race plans for the fall?" And I think I said something like, "I think I should try the 100-mile distance." Foreshadowing, I guess, at that time.
Oh, had you not planned to do it at that point, or you hadn't? Oh, interesting.
It was sort of my husband / coach. He was starting to plant that seed a little bit, but I was honestly, there's too much going on in life right now. Let's just do one race at a time, finish that one, then we'll talk, you know? So I hadn't even planned Tunnel Hill.
Wow.
Until late spring, probably early summer.
That's amazing.
Could you please tell our listeners how you even started your running journey?
Oh gosh. Well, I used to be a figure skater.
Whoa.
and piano player. That was kind of my identity as a child. Retired from figure skating in my early 20s and was, well, I got to do something. I was an active person, so I just thought running would be the easiest thing to just do quickly and buy a pair of shoes, step out the front door. So I just like jogged through my 20s. And then I met my husband in my early 20s, and he, at around the age of like 30, had heard about Western States and went, I want to do that one day. And then he's like, Julie, we should do a race. We should do a 10K or something. So we both signed up for a race in our early 30s, did a 10K. That's kind of what started my running journey, I suppose. He went off into the ultra world, and I kind of just went into the marathon world because it felt, an easier jump from just jogging casually versus jumping into something like Western States, right? So yeah, I kind of just started doing road races in my early 30s and took a couple of years off because of some health issues. So I ran my first ultra in 2015. So
Wow.
yeah.
Did you say you were a piano player as well?
Yeah, I went to school for music. Yeah, classical
Oh, wow.
piano.
Well, funny enough that today is my very first day of learning the piano.
No way. Congratulations. It's an amazing instrument. It's my favorite, obviously. Yeah. Amazing.
I bought him a keyboard for his 50th
I love that.
because he expressed interest in learning, and that was 6 years ago. So he's finally had the time to,
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to take a lesson.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're going to love it.
It is exciting because there's so many things I want to play on it. That's
Yes,
the
I bet. I bet.
thing. Yeah. We also heard somewhere that you also had a heart condition that you found out about while running. Can you tell
Yeah,
us about that?
that's the health issue I kind of mentioned. I actually signed up for my first marathon, and this was in 2013. My goal was to run a sub-3 for my first marathon. I was super pumped. Like, I'm going to do this. So that was my goal. But because it was I made all the classic early mistakes where I didn't, in training, I didn't eat enough calories. I didn't know how to hydrate properly. I didn't do anything right. I just loved to run. So I ran that race really hard, and I was winning it actually. And I was going to get my sub-3, and I just focused on that goal so hard until about a kilometer from the finish, I collapsed, went into shock. Volunteers were all around me. I couldn't remember my name, really. All I could remember was Adam's phone number. So I gave them his number, and he was at the finish waiting for me to win this race. And then I was taken to the hospital in an ambulance. I had extreme dehydration. Like I said, I didn't know what I was doing out there. So I was just running, and I wasn't drinking water at stations and stuff like that. I went to the hospital. They found my heart didn't look great, but they said a lot of marathoners will have a reading like this after a race. But I had also, in that same race, broken my foot, a round broken foot. It's a race I will never forget for all the wrong reasons, unfortunately. I had been training on a stress fracture in my second metatarsal on my left foot, but didn't know that it was a stress fracture. You can run on a stress fracture. I've learned for a very long time. I called it like soft tissue injury, I chalked it up to that, as many runners do. And then the race basically broke it. It was bruised and swollen. So I had to basically go into a boot, and they said, you know what, come back in 8 weeks. Once your foot is healed, we'll do a stress test, make sure your heart looks good, and we'll just move on with our lives. Foot healed, did the stress test, and I just watched their faces, the cardiologists' faces, and they seemed really concerned with my heart. And I was diagnosed with long QT syndrome, which is a rhythm disorder. It's chaotic beats, really fast heart rate, especially when you're pushing yourself. So yeah, they basically said, you should never run again if you want to live.
Oh my gosh.
I know. It was a really depressing time for me. I just discovered this love of a sport that I had a knack for. My husband was into it too, like something that we did together. It was, so yeah, everything kind of came crumbling down. I was totally devastated, totally, isolated at the time. I didn't know anyone else who had anything like that. It came out of nowhere. So yeah, I was told to stop running, pick up something that was more relaxed, And I didn't know how to do that. So I was put on a beta blocker and tried to train on that, which is really difficult because your heart rate, a beta blocker, its intention is to keep your heart rate at a, max level of like 135 beats per minute when you're running.
Okay.
Yeah, I felt like I was just like running through quicksand. And yeah, I would just jog home from work, try to get that running into my life in some way, but it was super sad and hard for me.
Wow.
So yeah, honestly, it was my husband's idea. So I took 2 years off of pretty much running entirely. And my husband was still on his ultra journey, trying to get into Western States. And he's like, you know what? I have an idea. I think that, and this was like totally unfounded, but it was his idea. He's like, what if you try an ultra because you're running slower? You're running farther, but you're running slower. And that's going to be good for your heart, right? I'm like, I don't know. Let's talk to my cardiologist about that. So we had a chat with my cardiologist, and this particular cardiologist works with a lot of athletes. He said, I'm not sure if that's a thing, but he knew that I was so devoted to the sport and the idea of getting back to it that he was open to working with me. So eventually I was playing with my dose of my medication, and, it's a very individual journey, right? I chose to take myself off of the beta blocker for Worlds in 2016, the 100K championships.
Right.
Because competing on a beta blocker on the world stage is impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completed that 100K there, came back from it, spoke to my cardiologist, told him what I did. And he's like, well, you essentially survived the ultimate stress test at this race. So here we are. I see him once a year. We just keep tabs on how my heart looks, but I think he's kind of interested in how my body is working through it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm very in tune with my body right now. So
You have to be, right? You have to be. I wonder, though, if you might become an example for future people that run into this issue.
I
Because
hope so.
hearing that, we've heard this so many times in our podcast, you should not run again.
I know.
And all these people have been running again and are doing very well, whether it's just finishing a race or winning a race. So
Really.
I feel like saying never or cannot is such a death sentence. I say air quotes death sentence, but the things that people get from running, whether it's mentally, psychologically, can sometimes outweigh those other issues.
100%.
And as you said, individual journey, listen to your body, listen to your doctor, but you kind of have to massage it a little bit.
Yeah, I'm definitely not the type of person to give up. And I just sought more opinions. I sought more professional opinions. And Adam was a really great push for me when I was totally down and out. And yeah, you just really have to listen to your body. And if you want to do something badly enough, you can find a way to work around a lot of things.
Right.
And yeah, with each race that I've done since 2016, I have more and more confidence in how my body functions. And I really know how to listen to it. Certainly in the summer during like a hot training run or a race, like that's when I have to be extra cautious, make sure electrolytes are I'm taking them consistently. And yeah, it's been a journey for sure. Yeah.
Well, that's an incredible journey so far. So let's talk ultras.
Yes.
You competed in the Worlds, like you said, about 3 times now, right?
Yes, 3 times.
I'm just wondering, how does Canada choose their athletes to go to Worlds, on 100K Worlds?
Yeah. So I have to give my entire running career my credit to Adam, because I wouldn't have done I probably wouldn't even be racing if it wasn't for him. I don't think it would be. It was in I had run my first ultra, which is a 50K run for the Toad in 2015. And then Adam and I were out just for a casual winter run in January or something. And he's like, Julie, the national championships are being held at the Niagara Ultra in June, of 2016. You should do that. And then that, if I did well there, if I ran a qualifying time or, got on the podium, that would qualify me then for the 100K World Championships. Wow. And I was, you're crazy. I'm not running that far, But then, of course, he got me to sign up for it. So I ended up winning that was one of the hottest races of my life. I'll never forget. Just the heat was so oppressive. It was over 40 degrees.
And that's a very open race course, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, you're pretty exposed. So yeah, that was my first 100 and I ended up winning overall. So I won the national championship, which then qualified me for Worlds in Spain. And that whole circuit was so exciting and new to me. And I was like, holy smokes, I can go to Spain and run, and do this. Like, this is awesome. So running has become how we travel now. It's almost hard to just imagine going to an all-inclusive and relaxing. Like, I don't know how to do that.
No.
We basically travel around races and that's all we do. So we do something really hard and relax later, right?
Absolutely. Where were those 300K championships?
Yeah, the first one was in Spain I forget the town at the moment. The second one was in Croatia, which was incredible. And then the third one, which was in 2022, we skipped obviously a World's year because of the pandemic. It was supposed to be in the Netherlands. The third one that I went to was in Berlin area in Germany. So.
Wow. So what was it like representing Canada in that huge competition field?
Oh my gosh, it's so cool. Those have been races that I'll never forget. I've had family travel with me. And yeah, I think the first time I ran Worlds, I was just so new to the sport. And I had sort of like a general time range that I wanted to accomplish 100K in. But the more you do a distance, the more you kind of chip away at that time and figure out how to do it, how to be a bit smarter about it. So yeah, my third race in Berlin, I was pacing it out more than just thinking of like a general hour range. So it's been fun to sort of chip away at the 100K distance.
Wow.
And this year it's in India, but I think it's next weekend actually, but Adam sort of put Tunnel Hill out there. It was sort of like Tunnel Hill or Worlds, and I went after Tunnel Hill. So.
Okay, well, hey, wise choice.
Yeah.
Will you keep going back to Worlds in the future then? Maybe.
I don't know. I'm not too sure. I mean, you certainly have to qualify. And that's another thing too. I hadn't run a qualifying race to get into, because there are only a few qualifying races in the country that you can run to then make it onto the national team. And I hadn't run one. Basically, Sulphur Springs, that was 50 miles, but it was trail. So it didn't count as a qualifier. So yeah, next year, I honestly have no plans for next year race-wise. I'll just talk to coach and see what he has lined up for me.
Yeah.
But
he already has it all lined up. You don't know.
Probably does. I'm not even going to ask him. I need to come down still for a 100-miler.
Yeah.
Now let's talk Black Canyon, which you did last year. Adam picked that race for you?
That race for me. Yes, he did. I'm probably going to cry right now. I lost my mother after the World Championships in 2022. She was killed by a drunk driver.
Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. And she was like my biggest supporter next to Adam. So he was just trying to keep me on track to doing big running things. So that was kind of like his goal for me. And I was terrified because it was a true trail.
Yeah.
I'm like, I started on the road, and that's where I can like really predict how things are going to go more so than on a trail. But he's like, yeah, try Black Canyon. We had some friends going and it kind of sounded like a really good way to get back into an ultra, after Worlds in 2022. So yeah, it was beautiful. It was so challenging for me. It's hard to train for a race like that out here.
Absolutely.
I did some treadmill workouts. Like I have this treadmill at the gym where you can put it on a descent, like a decline. So I was training on that, but also training through the winter. It was super challenging. But yeah, it gave me a taste of what those true trail ultras are like. I'd love to give it another go now that I know what I'm getting into, because I will say that before that race, I'm very much like an ignorance is bliss. Like I didn't dig into videos of the course. I just was like, trust the training, just run. I didn't really know what it was about until I was there. So now that I have a bit more wisdom, I think it would be fun to try it again. But yeah, it's certainly challenging for me because it's a totally different style of running than what I typically do.
For sure. Lots of big names too.
Oh, huge names. Yeah. It's an exciting race. It's an exciting race to be a part of. My younger brother came along for the journey too, and it was his first ultra crewing experience. And it was just so sweet to see him. His name is Steven. He was just so nervous. He was like, I was like showing up at aid stations. He's like, what do you need? And he's like dropping things, and so cute. It was a beautiful, fun race, and it was good to get back into some big runs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, finishing that race obviously gave you a ticket to Western States. What did you do with that ticket?
Yeah, so I did enter the lottery. Didn't get in.
Surprise.
Yeah, right. He was one of the, he got in 2018. I believe it took him 6 years to get into Western States. So yeah.
Same.
You know, it was so sweet. There was this spectator. He was sitting in a chair at one of the aid stations. He had a binder, and Adam ran past him. He looked at Adam's bib number, and you're one of the guys who took 6 years to get in here. Like, he had everyone sort of mapped out how long it's, some people get in on first try, right?
Yeah.
That wasn't me. And I was hoping to, and I didn't even realize this until Adam reminded me, I couldn't use that ticket this year because I didn't run a qualifier in time. Tunnel Hill was a week late.
Oh.
So I missed it by a week. Otherwise, I could have entered. So yeah, that's like a next year thing. Again, I guess I'll have to run another qualifier, won't I?
Yeah, well, you will for sure.
Yeah,
because obviously you got the experience of Western States, and that's one of those races that I think anybody would want to do once at least, right?
Totally. Yeah, it was never. I've seen Adam. He's run about 8 mountain ultras. Just seeing what he's gone through on those courses, I've always said, I am never doing that. He's had hypothermia. We've dragged him off the mountain. It's just been so many epic adventures, which is what I love about it, but also just what your body goes through on courses like that. I said I would never ever do that. However, because of Adam, I will continue to run races that get me tickets, and I will keep trying because it's the race, right? It's the race that started it all. It's what got Adam into running, and me really indirectly. So
there's so many parallels between this conversation. I'm going ding ding.
Now you're shaking your head. Yeah.
You know what? I think Adam and I could be best friends.
Good. You guys could chat for days and days and days.
Hey, maybe we should have him on the pod.
Yeah.
He's had some interesting experience. He's the kind of guy who's like 0 to 60. He literally just heard someone say the words Western States 100. What's that? He wasn't even a runner at the time.
Oh my God.
He smoked cigars and, was a retired jiu-jitsu athlete, and he didn't run at all.
Wow.
And he went from not running at all to making it to Western States. It was a tough go for him. It was like it wasn't a good race day at Western States for him. It was like one of his worst.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was really hard, obviously, to take. You spent 6 years, and he ran some incredible qualifying races to get those tickets. Like, he's an amazing runner. But then, I don't know, it's just, race day, anything can happen. Anything can happen. And it was a rough day. And that was hard. It's still hard. But the fact that he got there, and he, if that's a race, you also, if possible, you don't drop from it, even if you're having a hard time, because you want a buckle, right?
Absolutely.
And he still wears his buckle proudly every single day. Yeah.
Aww.
Yeah.
Well, I have tons of questions for him, but we will save that when we get him on.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
You'll have to convince him for us.
I will. Absolutely.
Okay, let's talk Tunnel Hill.
Yeah.
What made you decide to jump to the 100-miler?
Have you guys checked out our merch via our website, GottaRun Racing? We have some really cool swag, including the mugs that, if you've watched our YouTube video, that we drink with. Cool red mug with a cork bottom. It keeps liquids nice and cold or warm. What else do we have on there, Norm?
Well, we have our shirts that I'm wearing.
That's right. You can either choose from GottaRunPodcast or GottaRun Racing. You can also find our 20-liter dry bags, which are a steal at $25. Perfect for using it drop-off bag at an aid station. We've got flasks. We also have cooling multifunctional neckwear, which is a fancy word for a cooling buff. has the Gotta Run Racing and Podcast logos on it. Not to mention, we have the affiliate links for the 3 companies, for the 3 brands that we are affiliated with, that being Air Relax, Compression Therapy, Caffeine Bullet, and Kinesis Sunscreen. So by following those links, you can access exclusive discounts. So do check that out, GottaRunRacing.com.
Maybe Adam again. I
It
don't
was
know.
Adam. Yeah, truly. I finished Sulphur Springs. We were in the throes of some crazy renovations at our house. We had to move 3 times, and we were doing the rentals ourselves. And I didn't even think a race year was going to happen this year, to be honest, because there was just too much going on. But I still, I did a spring marathon, then I did Sulphur 50, and I wasn't sure if physically I'd be able to do it, get through all the training, and I wasn't sure where we'd be living even. So I don't know. Adam just planted the seed after Sulphur, and I think a lot of runners can relate to this. One of the best parts of running is the training for the race, right? That structure and just like getting out every day. I really do love the training. I don't know if I love 100-mile training now that I've done it. It's a lot of running, a lot of miles. But yeah, I think it was just after Sulphur. Adam's like, Julie, he kept mentioning it. He kept mentioning it. And I was like, well, I do want a fall goal. And I haven't run a qualifier for 100K Worlds. I'm sure you can also relate. One day sitting on the couch, went on to ultra sign up, put money on the race.
At 3:00 in the morning.
That's right. Put money on it. And you're like, well, here we go, And after the exchange rate too, that's not a cheap rate. It's not a cheap race to sign up for. So yeah, I put money on it, and then I just kind of kept running. And I also had one of Adam's runners. He coaches other runners other than myself. She was also doing her first 100 this fall, Javelina. So our training kind of lined up, and we did some runs together. Her name is Heidi, and it kind of made it a little bit easier knowing that I had a bud even though we live in completely different areas, we would reconvene for some long runs. And it was just nice texting with her, like, how's your body feeling? So that was part of it too. But yeah, it was kind of a late decision. I never had my sights set on 100-miler because of watching Adam go through all that he did. It just didn't appeal to me. It really didn't. But tell him kind of 100, right? It's more predictable. It's flat. It's more conducive to what I know and what I'm better at. So yeah, it was a good entry. And a lot of people do their first 100-miler on that course for that reason.
Sure.
Yeah.
All the aid stations, right? That lollipop style of the course. You're often around other people.
Right.
To see your crew quite often. And I get lost on trails very easily. So it was nice to know. I laughed so hard at the start. The race director said, if you try really hard, you could get lost here. Well, that might be. There was only one instance. It was very, very late in the race. It was dark. It was raining. And there was one like little gravel turnoff. I could get lost on that. That looks like the race course, but it is not. Don't take it, So yeah, it's a hard course to get lost on, which was also appealing to me.
Very good.
Yeah.
Now, heading into that, did you have some goals to go after records, or were you just strictly focusing on what your plan was?
Or what was Adam's plan?
Adam's plan. Adam just said he would say, I think you'll do better than you think you will, is what he kept saying. So yeah, I think too, the way we've developed this racing process, it really works for me because I won't entirely have confidence in my abilities to do something, but if Adam says that I can do it, then I feel like I can, like he kind of pushes me out of my comfort zone, but he still presents things that he knows I can do. So I'm like, well, if coach thinks I can do it, then I should think I can do it. Right.
Right.
So I've been thinking about this too, and I'm sure you can also relate to this. When you do a distance for the first time, it's a really nice feeling because you have nothing to compare it to. There's no PB to chase. You're just putting down a fresh time. And so I liked that about this distance. I really didn't have any expectations, honestly. I looked at previous like top 10 course times So I looked at that as kind of like a gauge, excluding Camille Herron's world record time. But I looked at the top 10. I was just kind of getting a feel for what could be done on that course. And then I considered my easy pace that I can do. And I tried to extrapolate from my 100K road time. Like I just did some very general, but then, over the course of 100 miles, like, as you know, anything can happen.
Right.
The longer the race, the more things that can go wrong, right? And do go wrong. A lot of troubleshooting. So I kind of thought, okay, I'll get to 100K in this 100-mile race, and then everything else will be brand new territory for me, but just keep those legs moving,
Nice. So tell us about the first 50K. Were you being chased? Or were you chasing?
I was chasing. Yeah, I was chasing 3 females. Yeah, it was.
Wow.
It was, but so early on in a 100-mile race, you don't want to get too caught up in who's ahead of you. You just want to stick to a pace that feels comfortable and, not get too carried away. So I was chasing 3 females until about, I would say like the 60, 70K mark.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
That makes it interesting.
Yeah, it was. And also it's stressful. It's also helpful, but because of that lollipop style, I'm seeing these women who've already done the turnaround, right?
Right.
So yeah, I think I passed the 3rd place female around, I don't know, I want to say like the 40K mark, and then the second one around 50K, and the third around 70K. But I still knew they were behind me, and Adam wasn't telling me where they were. He was just so focused on crewing for me and making sure that I was staying on track. But no, I was chasing. But I was just like, this is a long race, and there's a lot that can happen, and there's a lot of work to do. So just stick to the plan, just hydrate, eat, run. Don't hang out too long at aid stations because it's just moving again. Those hip flexors.
Oh, yeah.
Coming at you. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you prefer being chased, or do you like to lead?
Good question. I think I don't love leading because I don't know, all the pressure's on you, and it's hard to almost pace yourself when you don't have someone ahead of you. I'd rather be in behind a little bit
And reel them in.
Yeah.
Reel them in.
That's right. Just kind of gives you a bit of a goal and keeps you moving forward. When you're out there by yourself, it's just it's kind of like no man's land, and I think it's a little bit harder to maybe set a pace. And so yeah, I'd rather be in behind. But yeah, after the halfway point in the race, I was the lead female, but I didn't even entirely know it. Like I wasn't sure. You kind of get cloudy out there, right? What is even happening? But it was around, I don't know, probably 120K in. The lead male runner was on his way back from the turnaround, and he did this to me, 3. And I was like, does that mean I'm in 3rd overall?
Wow.
Holy smokes. I guess I am. So then I just kind of tried to hang on to that, I suppose, and
It's great that he told you that.
I know.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I had no clue, honestly. I didn't know. And then once it got dark, it started to rain as well. And my vision kind of got blurry. Like I couldn't see anything. And I was just, get this done. I had no concept of pace, time, anything like that. It's just at that point, you just run, right? You just keep running.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So 12-hour mark, did you realize that you had the record, or
No.
would you found that out later?
Yeah. I didn't even know. I kind of forgot that there was a 12-hour record to achieve. I didn't know. I've just been so in the 100K world that I don't know. I wasn't too aware of, I just forgot. So
Because Amanda Nelson's record was about 135 at the 12 hours. So what is the record now? I couldn't find it.
oh my goodness. I don't even know if I've been ratified yet, but I think I ran another, I think it was like 142. I'm not even totally sure.
Okay.
Don't quote me. It's not many more kilometers than that, but no, I didn't even know. I didn't know what time, my finishing time, until I like turned around and I looked at the clock and I was squinting because I couldn't really see that well. And it said 13:32 and I was really surprised. And Adam was just so excited. And yeah, it was awesome.
So how was the last 5K? You know that you're going to get your first 100-miler done coming into the finish. How was that? Yeah.
It was exciting. I mean, I would say even around, I think it was at the 90-mile mark, I asked, what time is it? And Adam's like, Julie, the second place female, she is long gone. Have a seat, put on your rain jacket, I remember saying to him, and I'll never forget this, I said, I just want to go home. Which was like our hotel in Kentucky. I just want to go home. So didn't sit down, didn't put on a jacket. I'm thinking, 10 more miles, just keep going, So it was just, I was having headlamp problems. It was slipping into my face. So I ended up just holding it. And it was just, it was messy. And I didn't know how fast I was running. It was, I have no idea. But it was when you have that finish line up ahead, that's enough to keep you moving, right? So
it's probably your fastest 5K.
Perhaps, I was certainly very stiff, but no, it was exciting. And I heard, I'll never forget either, there was the 50-mile timing mat is about 200 meters from the 100-mile finish. And so everyone at the finish knew that I was coming in around that point, and I started hearing my name, and I was like, holy smokes, the finish is like right there. So I was getting super emotional about it.
Wow.
Yeah. It's the finish line. The longer you go, the more exciting it is to get to a finish line.
Yep.
Well, speaking of that, I assume this was your longest time on foot. So were there any unexpected things that came up during that 13 hours?
Less than I had thought would happen. Yeah. Hip flexors were super sore and just like tight. I had a little bit of inner knee, but like everything kind of hurts, right? I had a massive blister on my fourth toe on my right foot that kind of like started actually pretty early on in the race. And I was saying to Adam, I think at the next station, I need to switch shoes, put on some Glide. I missed that toe. Obviously I didn't hit with them. Lesson learned. Yeah, it was a blister that started underneath the toe and wrapped all the way around it, but it didn't burst. And that's why I didn't even bother changing shoes, because sometimes changing shoes can cause more problems, right? So I just ran through it, but nothing crazy. Adam also prepared me. He's like, Julie, you're not going to be able to walk for a month. You're going to be in horrible shape. Take time off at work. And I was prepared to be carried out to stretcher, honestly. But surprisingly, 2 days of walking sideways downstairs is about the extent of the agony afterwards and just general stiffness. But not too bad, actually.
Very good. Well, congratulations again. We love to see Canadians, especially kick butt on the international scene.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was a fun day.
And will you go back? Because I believe you also got a free entry for next year.
I did. Yeah. I'm not too sure, honestly. I'm going to talk to coach and see what his plans are for me.
No, as you do know, as your coach Adam knows, there's many types of 100-milers out there. There's mountain 100-milers. There's desert 100-milers. So what is next for you? What do you want to tackle in a 100-miler?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I think a race like Javelina looks pretty good, obviously not flat like Tunnel Hill, but it's such a party. Adam's done Javelina before. He had a really great experience. I paced him there. So maybe that's something that I look towards for next year, something a little different.
May we suggest something?
Sure.
How about Spartathlon?
Spartathlon. I don't even know anything about Spartathlon.
Oh.
That's in Greece. Yeah, Greece.
Greece.
Oh, wow. Oh, yes, that's right. Yes.
How about Badwater, perhaps, maybe?
A little too hot.
A little too hot.
Yeah, I don't do well in the hot. No.
Well, it's just the fact that no Canadian has ever won either of those two. So
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
We came close with Norma Roberts one time. Our Canadian, she came second to Sally McRae a couple of years ago.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So that's the closest we came.
Okay. Well.
Anyway, put that in the back of your mind.
Yeah. Here.
See what Coach says. Speaking of which, his company's called Run or Die. We love the name.
It's a good name. It's very him. He used to be, I think there's a brand he used to be a snowboarder, and it was Skate or Die, I believe. So then he just let that simmer and it evolved to Run or Die. And yeah, it's very him.
Now, I'm sure there's days when you tell your husband that you don't want to run and he says, oh, sure, no problem. But then you also tell your coach you don't want to run and he says, get out that door.
Exactly.
So how does it work? How does the dynamics work? Who shows up on The husband or the coach?
And the tough days?
On the tough days.
On the tough days, I would say it's probably more coach, but I'm really disciplined. He doesn't have to do much pushing with me, to be honest. I really like in life, I've said this before to others, I like when someone who knows more than me can just simplify things and be here, do this. And I just like do my homework, Right. I do that with training. I do that with my running. In general, because life gets really complicated and hard and busy. And so, yeah, if someone can just distill it down for me, I really appreciate that. So he gives me my homework. Oftentimes I just ask him the night before, hey, what's my run tomorrow? And I think his casual approach to running is really helpful for me because I'm a bit of a type A, like structure. And he kind of like loosens things up a bit and throws things at me. And I think that's a really good dynamic that we've developed.
I can imagine too, as a television producer, you're living that role day in and day out. So to move into this in your personal life, you need someone that can do that for you. Otherwise, it just becomes a whole lot of overwhelming stuff.
That's right. I wouldn't be able to do it. I wouldn't be able to do it if I didn't have someone to kind of lay it out for me and just know what I'm capable of. And there's such trust between us, really, that it's been working for the past, I guess it's now 9 years, what we've been doing together. So yeah, I just think we've established something that works.
Amazing.
Yeah, I know that, Jody, you need structure in your life, right?
I do.
But it won't come from me. It won't come from me. She'll tell me where to go.
Dynamic then. Yeah, you have a similar dynamic. Yeah, I'm very structured. Adam is not so much. And I think that's a nice compliment.
Mm-hmm.
I think it works.
Well, we can't wait to see what you do next.
Thank you so much.
So excited for you. We're so excited for you. So
it was really nice chatting with you.
Yeah, no, we've had a blast. Honestly. But hopefully we'll see you at another Canadian event soon.
Or international, who knows?
Yeah, you never know.
We could just pop up.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see how next year goes.
Well, we'll stay in touch so that we can watch out for what you're going to do. But before we let you go, we like to do a little rapid fire at the end of our podcast. So let's start with, what's the last concert you went to?
Taylor Swift?
It was not Taylor Swift. Chelsea Wolfe, actually, was the last concert I went to. Adam, also a music nerd. So I go to whatever shows he's into and we had a good time.
Nice. Very good. Do you have any tattoos?
I do. I have 2 tattoos. My mom was just always so upset that I had tattoos. She didn't think they suited me. Adam he's covered in tattoos. I have 2 finger tattoos. Here.
Love it.
I know most people, don't start on their hands. I don't know. It's what I did. And I don't regret them. But I do also know that if you really wanted to, you could have them removed. So I think that's back here. But no, I'm happy with them. Just 2.
I have one and I got it somewhere that you can't see because my mom would kill me. And she's 91 and I'm 54, but I don't want to break her heart.
I know. My mom wasn't too happy when she saw these, to be honest. And she's, your husband influenced these tattoos. I'm like, I just...
What's a TV show that you're embarrassed to say you watch? And it could be reality, so we don't get you in trouble.
I have so much embarrassing TV that I watch. It's really embarrassing. Love is Blind is not too embarrassing.
Yeah.
It's just such, I get addicted to it.
It's escape. It's escape TV.
Yeah. And I do like The Bachelor and Bachelorette. I also watch that. But maybe most embarrassing, and I can't believe I'm telling you this, but I watch 90 Day Fiancé.
You do? Okay, that is embarrassing.
That's super embarrassing. I wanted to give you a good one. No, it is. It's super embarrassing. But I wouldn't even say that I watch it. It's kind of like on. I don't know. You get to know the couples and you just follow their journey. And
yeah, we totally get it.
Get wrapped up in it.
We love reality TV.
Love it.
Yeah, it's good.
All right. Coco Chanel or Yves Saint Laurent?
Yves Saint Laurent.
Ooh, fancy. So, and I've tailored a couple of these because I know you're in that world. So, What's your favorite 80s comeback fashion trend?
Favorite 80s comeback fashion trend? I would say I do love neon.
Mm-hmm.
I love bright pink, bright yellow. I also really do love the high-waisted jean. I love that. I'm not mad about those coming back at all.
What about stirrup pants? I saw a pair yesterday at Joe Fresh and I was really.
Yeah, I do. You just took me back to an outfit that I wore in grade 2, black stirrup pants and this magenta polka dot oversized sweatshirt. I honestly think now the trend world is just so, everything has come back and it kind of stays.
Yeah.
Nothing is really out anymore, which I think is great because you get to wear what you love and it's available for purchase.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Love
yeah.
it. Okay, Norm, final question.
Pick a superpower that you'd like to have.
Oh my goodness. I think I remember you asking me this at Sulphur and I didn't have an answer for you.
You have time to think about it.
Superpower. That's so hard.
There's so many.
I think that's why I'm just overwhelmed by it. I don't even have an answer. Can you give me some examples? And then can I do like a multiple choice where you...
Well,
Yeah, there you go.
The most popular is flying, obviously.
I was just thinking about flying. Yeah, that would be cool.
But how about time travel?
Oh man, time travel would be cool as long as I don't get stuck in a time because there are movies and TV series about that. Time travel would be cool. I'm going to pick
How
that one.
about regeneration, where you
Oh,
think about that?
Mm-hmm.
So you're making this part now. See? I'm gonna go with that one. I take time travel back and regeneration is
It applies for ultras, right?
It applies to runners.
It definitely does. Yeah, that's my pick. Regeneration.
Okay. All right, Julie, thank you again. We really enjoyed it.
Of course.
All the
It's
best.
great chatting with you. Oh, thank you. Take care.
All right.
Thank you. Thanks again.
Okay.
Nice to see
Have a nice
you.
weekend, of course. Take care. Bye.
And mention Adam that, hey, we want him on.
Yeah, we're going to reach out.
He'd be a good interview, I think. He's got some experiences. I'll let him know.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Take care. Okay.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye. And that was Julie Hamalecki of Toronto, fresh off her win at Tunnel Hill.
Her Canadian record win.
Yes. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I love the dynamic that she has between her and her husband/coach.
Yeah, it sounds so familiar.
Yeah, except I'm not out winning 100 milers, but
Well, back to her win at Tunnel Hill. Her pace was sub 5-minute K, I think. To do that 100 miles in 13:30-ish, that's a 5-minute pace. So that is her slowing down for a longer distance.
and she came to running quite late in life, considering in her 30s. But she obviously had the sport background, being a figure skater. I think a lot of people who are successful have had some sport background in their childhood that gave them the cardio and discipline conditioning for sure. So it's very common.
Well, we started in our 30s as well, running.
Yeah, but I didn't have a background in any kind of physical activity.
So you're saying that your next sport,
yes,
you're going to rock because now you have a running background.
That's right.
So what is your next sport going to be?
Pickleball?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, great story. Lovely to see her again after we met her for the first time in May.
Mm-hmm.
Can't wait to see what she does next.
Obviously, she's a career that we're going to follow, and I hope she does Spartathlon.
I think you planted a seed there.
Well, I should just text or message Adam directly.
There you go.
And say, hey, Spartathlon. That's the one.
That's the one.
All right. And if you like this podcast, please leave a rating and review. We'd love to hear from you.
Yes, thank you. We would love to hear from you. So reach out, GottaRunRacing@gmail.com or via our Instagram.
And if you have any suggestions of who you'd like to hear on our podcast, hey,
Hit us up.
hit us up. Until next time.
Cheers.
Bye.